that. Let's pivot real quick to the other big college news story that has a connection to the NFL, and that is Bill Belichick is coaching the University of North Carolina Tar Heels football team. It's a 5-year deal, $10 million annually, which puts him up with coaches like Ryan Day, Brian Kelly, Kirby Smart, like big name coaches in college football. And this is a debate. This has become a thing. I've been watching Twitter. I've been watching other Discord forums and stuff like that. And there are people that think this is an awful idea, and there are people that think this is a great idea. So, Stan, I want to know where you stand. You know Bill Belichick very well, being a Jets fan, right?
I'm his best friend. Yeah.
Yeah. You've seen him for years and have loved all of your interactions, I'm sure. But
FaceTime him every night.
Yep, that's right. That's right. Billy B and Stan, they go way back. But what are your initial thoughts to this signing by the University of North Carolina?
First of all, I don't think it could possibly be a mistake, right? Like the University of North Carolina, they're not a big name college. They're not in football. They've never really been that team, at least not anytime recently. They're in a division where every single team is competitive, right? The worst team, I think, in their standings, the ACC this year, is what?
I'm just laughing at you're the worst team ever. But no, keep going. You're doing good.
Well, no, look at the ACC, right? Which team did the worst in that division? It was Florida State. Last year, Florida State, there was discussion of whether they should be part of that the top 4 schools in the AP they were before Jordan Travis got injured, right? That is the level of the ACC. There are really no bad teams. Any team there can jump up, and we've seen that with Florida State. We've seen that with SMU this year, and we'll see that again. So for North Carolina, I think what you have to do as that sort of school in a division where there's not really any teams that you could count out year after year, is you have to take a big swing. And that's what Belichick is. I mean, Belichick, for one, the whole thing about him not being able to navigate, NIL sort of stuff and dealing with prospects and recruiting guys from high school, I don't think that's real because, which high school quarterback would not want to go to a college where they have arguably the best football coach of all time as their coach, right? Like that's such a great opportunity. I think you will get a lot of people, and specifically, you'll get a lot more serious names. You're not going to get as many of those party guys, because party guys aren't going to want to play for Belichick, right? You're going to get serious guys who want to go to UNC to play for who they might think is the best coach of all time. So I think for UNC, it's a great decision. I really don't see the negatives of it, and I don't think Belichick would be pursuing like with Brady, and I don't know if you've seen a clip of Brady and Gronk and Edelman there talking on, I forget what show it was, about this, and they were kind of joking about him not being able to navigate dealing with the high schoolers and recruiting them and bringing all those guys. The guys who Belichick would not be appealing to play for, Belichick doesn't want them either way, and that to me is the ultimate reason why I think it's a great decision.
Yeah, so to kind of like lay out what I've seen, and you kind of got there, but to lay out what I've seen as the big argument against this is basically Bill Belichick is 72 years old. He's not going to be able to relate to these 17-year-olds coming out of high school talking about Skibbity Toilet and Costco guys and all that. He's going to get lost. And the comparison I've seen has been Deion Sanders. Like Deion Sanders does a way better job of relating to people. All the top prospects in the country want to go play for Deion or Kirby Smart or someone like that. But I personally think, and a lot of football players I've talked to who are in high school right now still have a lot of respect for Bill Belichick. They respect him as a coach, and I don't know how that'll carry over to college. But they respect what he did in the NFL with Tom Brady. They do consider him the greatest coach of all time, up there with like Nick Saban and Don Shula, the guys that really know like their football history and stuff. But I think if you are really serious about getting into the NFL and your goal, you're going to ask yourself, what is my goal as a high school senior? What do I want from life? And most of these football players that are even being looked at by these D1 colleges, by the UNCs or the big colleges that they're probably going to be prospecting with, like Alabama, Georgia, Clemson, who knows. But they want to make it to the NFL. That's their goal. So they're going to say, what is the easiest way for me to do that? It is to be with the guy who has had the most successful coaching career with the NFL. It is to be with the coach who has already come out and said, and Michael Lombardi, who's going to be UNC's GM, said that there's an almost 400-page layout that Bill Belichick has already created for what this program is going to look like. And it is going to be an NFL program down to the nutrition, the fitness, the regimen, how they're disciplined. Everything's going to be NFL level. So that these players are going to not only be prepared for the NFL, but they're going to be prepared for life after football. That was what Bill Belichick his plan was, because he said, you know what? Even if North Carolina goes 8-0 next year, not every player on that team is going to go to the NFL, right? Just the reality of it. But he wants to get these guys ready for employment, to set them up for success. And when I hear that as a high schooler, I'm like, okay, I'm all about that personally. Maybe, and of course, there's people who are going to think differently, but I remember where I was in high school, and I wanted the easiest and most successful path. And so I think Bill Belichick is going to be able to promote that to these guys, and they're going to be able to sign people. And hopefully we'll start to see players come out of North Carolina entering the NFL draft already NFL ready, because they've gone through this regimen. They've been prepared. There isn't going to be this learning curve, because we've seen time and time again rookie quarterbacks like Caleb Williams, supposed to be a generational prospect, has issues his rookie year because there's a learning curve. Hopefully with North Carolina, we see that learning curve kind of be less, because they've already been through the NFL regimen. They're used to the scheduling. They're used to the discipline with Bill Belichick.
Yeah, and I think about watching the draft year after year and looking at those 7th and those 6th round picks. How many years have you seen it where people who never really performed well in college get picked because of the program they're from? Mr. Irrelevant from this year, Jalen Key, he wasn't very good, right? He was no one ever really said he was very good. He wasn't expected to really be drafted, but he was from Alabama, and every team in the NFL understood that Alabama produces good prospects, so he got his pick. To think about Michigan, right? In last year's draft, and basically every year, you always see a lot of guys from Michigan, Georgia, those big names, guys who maybe you didn't hear about while the season, who are getting those last picks there. So for UNC, I think for a player, it increases your chance, because maybe a team, an NFL team, might start watching more UNC and might start looking into more of their prospects because they know who Belichick is, right? They may not know who this random kid from North Carolina is, but they know who his coach is, and they're going to use that information to find better prospects.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, I don't see the downfall of this. I mean, like you also said this, there are going to be players who don't want to come to UNC now. Like, they're going to be party athletes or whatever. They're not going to be taking it seriously. And maybe they'll be successful in the NFL after going to a different school. But I think Bill Belichick will have success getting prospects and building up these prospects, and especially the UNC defense. I'd imagine UNC defensive prospects are going to want to play for Bill Belichick, because he isn't only the greatest coach in the history of football, he's considered one of the greatest defensive schemers in the history of football. And I also wanted to say that Bill Belichick just said in an interview, he was asked, will you leave for the NFL if you have success at UNC? He said, I didn't come here to leave. So it kind of seems like he doesn't have a lot of opening in the NFL, and that's been another criticism, that this is just him taking what he can get anymore. But I think Bill Belichick could eventually get another coaching job in the NFL if he really wanted it. I really like this move, and I was trying to find one of Duke's O-line, or not Duke, UNC's O-lineman was in the transfer portal, and he came out. He said, I'm going to go play for Bill Belichick. So it's already having that reaction. I don't know if he's good, because I didn't watch a lot of UNC, but there are players now coming back at least, to play for Bill Belichick. So we can move on. Those are my thoughts. Did you have any other thoughts on Bill Belichick, Stan?
No, I'm just super excited for that. I got really into college football this year specifically, so I'm excited that my second year of being a college football fan is going to have some Belichick in it.
I'm interested, and Chus is on a plane somewhere to Philadelphia. That's why he's not here today. But I'm interested to know what his thoughts are now that Bill Belichick is in the ACC. And I see here Pitt and UNC had the same record this year, so we'll see what he has to say probably next week.